Oh, yes, the slide there tells you what it is that we're talking about. I think you saw a report during the break about pensioners threatening to go on strike if the federal government doesn't implement the consequential adjustment of pensions arising from the implementation of the national minimum wage. We have with us this morning Mr. Abomi Ogunkolade, who is the Senior Assistant General Secretary and Head of Information at the Nigerian Union of Pensioners. You're welcome to our Abuja studio.
Thank you so much.
Well, this is very interesting and it's maybe also disturbing to see that pensioners are saying that they are going to, I wasn't quite sure, did they say they're going to go on strike? When I saw that, I thought to myself, but they're no longer working.
Demonstration.
Okay. Demonstration. Okay. Not strike.
No.
Okay.
National protest.
But is this taken for granted that when there is a national minimum wage adjustment, that pensions too should be adjusted?
Thank you very much. Yeah, from time immemorial, 1980, 82, that was the position. Moment workers' wages are adjusted, pension will naturally be adjusted. And even then, we have what we call minimum pension. As we have minimum wage, we have minimum pension. But somewhere along the line, maybe due to long years of military rule or whatever, we lost it. Now what we have now is mere adjustments of pension. Once workers' wages adjusted, then pension are to be adjusted. But along the line, since 2010, when we have the last wage increment, pension was not adjusted until some 3 years later. Though after the adjustments was made, it was done in retrospect to 1st July, taking effect from 1st July 2010. Now we are trying to avoid such a repeat. We are pensioners, we have to wait endlessly before the adjustment of their pay. Since that 2010, when we have the last one, even though there is a constitutional provision, Section 210, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, and 173, subsection 3, clearly states that pension must be adjusted or reviewed every 5 years, or whenever workers' salary are reviewed, whichever comes earlier. Meaning that by 2015, pensioners were due for another review. This was not done. We've made several requests to the government on this, negotiation, discussions. It was still ongoing. Fortunately, by 2019, April precisely, there was a wage review. Prior to that, various committees that were set up by the government, the union was involved. We were together with the NLC, TUC, and Joint Negotiating Committee. And we were telling the government, let this thing go hand in hand, which we were assured is going hand in hand, only for the president to give assent to workers and they refer us back to Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, that they have to sit down and do this and whatever. Okay, we went back. And Salaries, Income and Wages Commission set up another committee to do pension review in line with the consequential adjustment for the workers. In that committee, PTAD, a director in PTAD was the chairman. The union was there. Representative of the IG, DSS, National Assembly, everyone. Then this committee sat for about close to 9 months. And they finish their reports, submitted back to the chairman, Salaries, Income and Wages Commission. The board sat and approved it, then forwarded it to the SGF, to Mr. President for his assent. That was done in November 2020. As we speak now, whether the document is missing, whether it is hanging somewhere, we cannot say. We've written to the SGF. We've met with the SGF. My president met with him during the inauguration of the PENCOM board at Hilton. And we mentioned this to him.
What did he say?
He said, work is ongoing. We will look at it. We met with the PTAD. We raised this issue during the Pensioners' Day celebration, December 11 last year, to the Executive Secretary PTAD. She said she's holding meeting with them. She's meeting with a budget office. One excuses after the other. Then, well, it's becoming a kind of waiting too long.
It is definitely understandable. I mean, your frustration is very, very understandable. But we have with us this morning the Executive Secretary of PTAD. Chairman, I think you will do us the honors of introducing her.
Well, yes, indeed. We've got Dr. Chioma Ejikeme. She's the Executive Secretary, Pension Transitional Arrangement Director at PTAD. She joins us via Zoom. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, you have heard what has just been said about the meetings that they've had with you. So from his perspective, it was one excuse or the other. Is that the case?
Good morning, Chamberlain, and good morning, Nigerians. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. I don't think it would be correct to say that we'll be making excuses concerning the pension increment. I recall telling them last year at their AGM that it is still going through the administrative process. I didn't tell them I was meeting with the budget office because PTAD made provisions for the pension increment in the 2020 budget. So we were ready to pay as soon as the process has been completed. On the 16th of March, I had in audience the head of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, with a branch of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, the Federal Civil Service retirees. They had come to meet with me, as we regularly do. We regularly engage with our stakeholders. And they brought up the same question. And I told them, it is right now at the very final stage. Everything has a process. From the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, he went to the office of the SGF. They have to find out, have we made budgetary provisions? Is there money to be able to implement this? It came down to the Ministry of Finance, came to us, and it has gone back. So I told them all of that. So trying to say they want to demonstrate is like playing to the gallery, because this thing is as good as done. So that it won't look as if it's because they threatened a demonstration that we're about to pay. It's already ready. So I am actually surprised that they're talking about calling out pensioners because of something that is already at the very, very final stage and we're about to implement.
Just to be clear, when you say it's ready, in fact, you said it's already ready, does that mean that payment will begin as soon as possible? If it will, when is as soon as possible?
As soon as, what we're now waiting is that for that instruction, because an instruction has to come to us from the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. And everything has been put in place. The funds are there and ready. So the minute we get that instruction, which is the final cycle, it's almost complete. It's almost complete.
Okay, just to, also be clear, because, I mean, you used some terms, administrative process. And, I mean, for the pensioner out there, I mean, they wonder, what is this administrative process? What is the scale of it? Just how long should it take? Can you expatiate on that administrative process, really?
I would want to think that by now, this is March, I would want to believe that we should be able to implement by the April payroll. We should be able to implement by the April payroll. The process is that it has come from the office of the SGF to the finance ministry to look into whether we have made budgetary provisions, whether the funds are available, whether we agreed with what the proposals were, and we have assured them we were part of the whole process. A director in PTAD chaired the technical subcommittee. So we are in sync with everything that the report has to say. So we're just waiting for that instruction from the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. And I think it should be with us anytime soon.
So you're saying that while all this process was ongoing, the Union of Pensioners were, as they say, carried along all the while?
They were part of the technical subcommittee.
Wow.
They were part of the technical subcommittee. And on the 16th of March, I had a meeting with their chief executives. And I told them that we're almost at the end. And this was on the 16th of March. But then on the 19th, they now call out to say, give a 21-day ultimatum. We are family. PTAD is pensioner-centric. The current administration is pensioner-centric. We have been trying to do our best, even regardless of COVID, to make sure that the pensioners are well taken care of within the limits of the resources we have. We've been paying arrears. Recently, about 46,000 files of pensioners that we had verified and had not validated. We recently validated them. About 16,210 pensioners were paid their entitlements.
Okay, just before we take this back to Mr. Ogunkolade, one of their major grouses is the fact that this has taken 2 years. And I wonder if for the minimum wage implementation, it didn't take that long, though there are still issues with states, domesticating that. But why 2 years?
The National Salaries and Incomes and Wages Commission, the initial meeting took place on the 19th of December, 2019. That was when they invited stakeholders to begin to discuss about the pension increment. And on that day, a technical subcommittee was set up to look into it. They started seating, and the seating took place in the year 2020. Regardless of COVID, they had 11 meetings. And in July of 2020, the report was ready. In July 2020, the report was ready and was sent back to the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. From there, the rest of the process took off. There, we didn't have any control over the process.
Bringing Mr. Ogunkolade here, I mean, you've heard, she says your union has been part of negotiation or processes ever since, and you are playing to the gallery.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. There is no playing to the gallery here. 2 years down the line, how long or how else do you want people, pensioners, to wait for the result of all these administrative processes to come out? With what Madam is saying, I hope Nigerians will agree with me that the background I gave earlier on, she corroborated virtually everything. But the fact still remains, 2 years down the line, anytime we have the opportunity of meeting with her, either in our office, private or public places, the storyline is still the same.
Well, Mr. Ngladi, was there ever a time during the conversations that she said you were part of, and you also said you were part of it, was there a conversation about the timeline of when it will be reflected in the pensions as it was in the salaries of those who are still engaged?
No, sir.
Was it ever a subject of conversation?
The PTAD has never been emphatic, and we understand, as a government agency, PTAD will always talk to us in a normal, persuasive way, appealing to the union, to appeal to pensioners, to bear with the agencies, and then giving us assurances that work is ongoing.
But your growls is not with PTAD.
No.
I think that is very, I think that should be stated very clearly. Because, I don't know, madam, this is for you. You almost sounding on the defensive. As far as the background that, the gentleman here in the studio has presented, states, it doesn't seem that there is any quarrel with the work that PTAD has done so far. The quarrel is that a consequential adjustment that ought to have been done when a minimum wage adjustment was done has taken at least 2 years. The president signed the minimum wage bill into law in April 2019. We're almost approaching another April in 2021, and the pensioners are yet to get a consequential adjustment. Yet, inflation is on a runaway. Is at 17% on the whole. I mean, we're not talking food inflation or even what they have to pay for medicines and things of the sort. Is this normal with bureaucratic red tapes? And because what you have described right now about meetings and, administration and administrative processes, is it normal for it to take 2 years?
Let me say that I'm not being defensive. I'm being factual. The first meeting that the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission held with stakeholders concerning the pension increment took place on the 19th of December 2019. And that was the kickoff of the process. Now, let us not underestimate what COVID-19 did to everybody. The physical effect, emotional effect, psychological effect, economic effect. Government processes, they were all part of it. Regardless, the meetings continued because we had to sit down to look at what this consequential adjustment was going to be. And as of July, the report was ready. Like I told them,
was in December 2019. But I did make reference to the fact that the president signed, I don't know if you can signed the National Minimum Wage Bill into law in April 2019 as well. The pensioners say that they were part of the process and that they were referred to the National Income and Salaries and Wages Commission. And, it was seen that it took another how many months before the first meeting eventually took place. By your estimation, or by what you have said now, in December of the year, when the minimum wage was actually signed in April. Some people will say that naturally it should be a matter of it should be taken for granted that when there is a minimum wage adjustment, it should follow naturally and smoothly, especially if it's already in our laws, that it shouldn't take that long for us to now sit. Yes, it is true that COVID has wreaked havoc and, would have had its own effect. But shouldn't we make the wheels of government, or shouldn't we try to make the wheels of government run a little smoother?
You see, when the Constitution made it mandatory to have pension increments every 5 years, there was no percentage attached to it. So every time there's a pension increment, it's a consequential adjustment. So people have to come together to agree on what the percentage increment would be. I don't think I can speak for the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission as to why the first meeting took place in December. I think they would be in a better position to explain why. But from our own side, this is our understanding of what has taken place.
Yeah, Madam, just something that you said earlier caught my attention, and I'm still mulling over it. You said that a budgetary allocation was made in December 2020, or in the 2020 budget. I'm wondering what happened to that provision, and if that is the one that we're still talking about now.
A budgetary provision was made, and the funds were mopped up, but they're going to be rolled over because they're pension funds for us to be able to use them to pay. So we have the funds to pay. It's not a funding problem. The funds are there. And like I said, before the end of April, we should be on with this pension increment matter. We should be done with it. We should be done with it. And I told them.
Well, we're certainly not looking forward to seeing, our senior citizens on the street. So we're going to ask you. I mean, you've heard her. She said the funds are there. It's just, this is government. This is the government that we have. This is how it runs. Has there been enough talking to you and your members to assuage, to say, hey, look, we're almost at the finish line here. She's done her best from what she said. We're almost at the finish line here. If you've been patient for 2 years, I don't think it's going to take to the end of 2021 before you finally get to see this increment. Can you wait? Can't you wait a little more?
My sister, you see, I think we have to appeal to the government to do the needful at the right time. These people we are talking about, these are pensioners. Who is a pensioner? A pensioner is somebody that works, use his useful energy to serve the government, the system. Now that is a payback time. While in service, these people saw money, they did not steal it because they wanted to retire gloriously so as to get the benefit that they're supposed to get. But the government is not there now. So instead of appealing to pensioners, I think we have to appeal to government to do the needful. Let me say something, ma. Before the Salaries, Income and Wages Commission have to call the meeting in December 2019, we went to the chairman, the Salaries and Wages Commission, more than 4 times. In fact, there was an occasion that we threatened to lock down the place. Old men. Before they now said, okay, they are waiting for one approval from the SGF, from one ministry, one agencies, or the other, for them to convene the meeting. The meeting that was agreed at the villa that they should go and convene immediately. So from April until December, we went to their office more than 4 times.
But the activity you're seeing around now, I mean, I want to believe that after you held that meeting, stating that ultimatum, there must have been attempts to reach out to you from high quarters. Was there?
Yes, thank you. Because while all these pressures were going on, the DSS, security agencies reached out to us. But Remember I said in the...
No, security agencies reach out. I did want to pay you. That's not the
That's why are we threatening the peace of the country, forgetting that they were part of that committee. Good. So when we submitted the report to them, they saw their representative signature.
Well, we're talking about government from
from the government side.
From the people who need to pay you your money. That's the people we're talking about.
Nobody is talking from the government side. The only, the closest thing we have gone to is PTAD talking to us. The SGF has neither acknowledged our letters, the villa, or the letters we wrote through the office of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President. None was acknowledged.
That's very sad indeed. But we're hoping that, let us hope that they were speaking through PTAD. Which is the agency that is, saddled with the responsibility of making sure that pensioners are paid. And let us hope that the finish line is really, really at hand, much, 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 much closer than you and I could
madam,
envisage.
Please, something very important. If this circular or the payment is done now from salaries and wages, we will still take this circular to all the states of the federation. So if it takes federal government 2 years, how long is it going to take the state pensioners for them to pursue the 33% of 2010 that we are talking about? Some state governments are still grappling with it now.
Well, it's going to be that big rhetorical question hanging in the air. I hope that state governments will not wait for another strike or demonstration to happen in their own states.
I hope not.
Before they take the cue from what is happening at the national level. But we have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Mr. Bumi Ogunkolade is the Senior Assistant General Secretary and Head of Information at the Nigerian Union of Pensioners. We also thank you, Dr. Chioma Ejikeme, who is the Executive Secretary of Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD. Fine work you're doing, ma'am. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Well, that's why we have to leave the program. We know that we can see some of your messages here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bashir Bala says insecurity, finding lasting solution. Ways to finding a lasting solution to the insecurity in Nigeria should be everybody's first priority. We all have to get involved. I don't think anyone can quarrel with that.
Well, Professor Nakana, perhaps speaking in the same vein, says teethering problems of insecurity is due to lack of programs to cushion the effects of economic hardship in the midst of plenty. Politicians must stop displaying irascible opulence to the chagrin of people dying daily due to abject poverty.
Well, PTAD may have done his bit, but the other agencies of government need to do their bit. 2 years, that's too long, I think. We've got this one from Comrade Francis, who says, obviously, FG does not have the political will to address the issues of insecurity in Nigeria. With porous borders, poor intelligence, and poorly equipped security personnel, insecurity in Nigeria may never end.
So let's see which one's next.
That should be Ayo, guys. Let's flip to the Ayo. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Talking about livestock business is dying with the current cost of production and huge insecurity in the land. Many people will be out of jobs. Says, I have closed. Oh, so there you go. That's the tweet from Ayo talking about livestock business dying with the current cost of production and huge insecurity in the land. Many people will be out of job. I have closed my bird segment and laid off my 4 staff. Can't even service my bank loan because of low return on investment.
Oh, dear.
APC and 32 years. Chairman did say we want to hear from you. You get in this one. It says 32 years to do what? A political party that couldn't fulfill an ounce of its mandate to the people for 6 years and counting. APC should wake up, face reality, and stop daydreaming. Power belongs to the people. I can't quarrel with the last one. Power ultimately belongs to the people. So they decide whether anyone gets 60 years or 32 years.
The people are the employers.
Indeed.
And the people can send them into pension.
I decide not to pay them. Well, thank you so much for watching this morning.
Oh, dear.
I'm Akwagu Yusuf.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day and please keep safe.